Welcome to episode 11 of the Hodgepodge Podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of topics, anywhere from movies, music, television, and other pop culture events.
And today we'll be discussing Ben Stiller's new film, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Fox's new sci-fi show, Almost Human, and our friend Matt King will stop by to talk some Walking Dead with us. You can reach us at the Hodgepodge Podcast at gmail.com or on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or over at my review blog, dougreviews.blogspot.com. Just yesterday, we were lucky enough to get a very, very early screening of Ben Stiller's new film, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yeah, surprisingly early on this one.
Yeah, this movie comes out in theaters on Christmas Day, yep. Actually. So, yeah, we got this early screening and checked it out last night. And
mixed reviews coming up.
Yeah, mixed reviews from the two of us and also critics, because I think it premiered in one of the New York festivals, and it's really dividing people.
Yeah.
If you don't know the gist, I guess, of it, it's based on a short story by James Thurber. It's a story from 1939. It was a movie once before. It was a 1947 film with the same title.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that until you let me know about that.
Yeah, starring Danny Kaye. That it was like a vehicle for him to showcase his talents and stuff like that. And that movie is also very different from the short story because we went with a friend of ours and she was complaining constantly about how it wasn't matching up the story.
And when we say short story, we're talking about a couple pages. I mean, a very
it's a very short story. It's a very short story.
So obviously there's going to be artistic license when creating a 2-hour movie.
Right.
Short story is more of a vehicle for the inspiration of the story, probably, rather than the full-on adaptation of that story.
Right. Ben Stiller is the star, and he also directed this one.
Yeah.
And the story follows a guy named Walter Mitty, who is a timid photo editor, basically, at Life magazine.
Good enough job descriptor. And
he has a very vivid imagination where he imagines himself more heroic, confident, dashing, to basically get away from his mundane life.
But it's not just in his head. I mean, it's more of a disruptive daydream. I mean, he basically stops cold in his tracks as these daydreams. It's not like daydreaming while you're doing something else. He just embodies these dreams in his head while he just stopped in a trance-like state, almost zoned out, as they
they refer to it a lot as he zones out. And as we said, he works for Life magazine, and the conflict basically comes in that Life magazine has been absorbed by another company, and there's a new acquisition team comes in, led by Adam Scott, who plays this smarmy jerk. I think his name was Kevin.
I'm not sure what his name was, but yeah, he was the quintessential doucheball.
Neither is IMDb, apparently, because they don't
have a name for him either.
But Ben Stiller's character, Walter Mitty, a film role comes in from this legendary photographer, Sean O'Connell, who's played by Sean Penn. Convenient. And there's a negative missing. And Mitty is like
the negative. This is the picture that they're supposed to use on what will be the final cover of Life magazine.
Right. O'Connell calls it in a note to him the quintessence of Life, meaning Life magazine, right. But it's also of life.
So meta.
Yeah, it's meta, all right. And I think you just found out where our opinions divide. Mitty is like a perfectionist. He is very good at his job because it's all he has, basically. And he tries to...
He's also very safe.
Yes.
He keeps his world very safe. So his job... we don't want to give spoilers away, but due to his circumstances in life, it's led him to a point where his job is completely necessary. He has to have this money coming in to do what he thinks he has to do to support his family.
Right.
And so he keeps himself very safe and guarded. That's probably why he's such a perfectionist at his work.
Right. He tries to contact Sean O'Connell, and of course the guy's incommunicado because he's out in the wilds.
He's the adventurer photographer, folks,
right?
If you know that.
Yeah, photojournalist.
Yeah.
So Mitty has to screw up his courage to finally approach his workplace crush, Cheryl, who's played by Kristen Wiig,
who surprisingly didn't annoy me in this movie.
Yeah, she was good. She was good in this movie.
When she plays understated roles, she's actually very good.
There was only... Everybody was pretty good in this movie. There was only one person, we'll get to this later, that I did not like in this movie. But
I think probably the same.
But so he finally screws up his courage to talk to her because he needs her help. And basically, Kevin, Adam Scott, we'll just call him Adam Scott because since we're not sure what his character's name is. I think it's Kevin, though. But he basically tells Mitty, next time I see you, I want to see that picture. And
it's more or less the ultimatum.
Right.
Picture or you're fired.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, Walter hops the next plane to Greenland, as you do. And because that's the
he's basically trying to following little breadcrumbs, little clues to figure out where Sean O'Connell is, to figure out where this negative is gone.
Right. And so
that's the story.
And I think we've actually given away more than the trailer gives away.
Bit. Maybe a little much, but that is the story. Right. It's not giving away any spoilers.
Oh, no, it's no spoilers. I'm just saying, the trailer was very vague. It's he's like this nebbish guy, and then he goes off on this adventure.
Yeah, you don't know why. You don't know why, or the time span. But, anyway, I believe, Doug, you didn't care for it all that much. You didn't think it was horrible, but...
Yeah, it's entertaining. There are definitely entertaining moments in it, but overall, it just kind of left me cold. It felt like Stiller and the filmmakers were trying to make a, quote, very inspiring film, and it wasn't inspiring at all to me.
And that's true. If you weren't, for lack of a better word, inspired, or if you didn't feel anything for this movie, that was the point of the movie. So you're not going to like it if you felt that piece of it fell flat.
There was a bunch of stuff that didn't hit me right with this movie. It just... His whole plight didn't really grab me. It didn't tug at my heartstrings at all.
Right.
I said to you earlier today that if you want a movie for my money that hits all those points and it's funny and stuff like that, go see About Time, because it covers. It covers a lot of the same territory, but
I can't argue that. A far superior film.
That movie really is inspiring and uplifting. This one just it felt. It felt like it was almost like faking it. I can't really explain it anymore.
Can't put your finger on it. See, I didn't feel that way. I got a little more absorbed into the movie. I kind of had a personal connection with the Mitty character and these daydreams that he goes on. I don't quite do that to the point of disrupting my life, but yeah. So
neither do I. Where was I? Where was I?
I think you were in the Himalayas.
I think I was.
But no, so I felt a connection to the movie, and I'm not going to go so far to say it felt inspired, but I did feel, it was kind of a heartfelt type of movie. And to be honest with you, I laughed a lot.
Yeah, it definitely has its funny moments.
It had poignant moments that I felt at least something for. So I liked it a great deal better than you, but it's by no means, folks, a perfect movie. There are lots of plot hole points in there. Yeah. Lots of stacks of things that you can pick apart in this movie. But the thing is, for me with this movie, it was the kind of movie where I was able to forgive a lot of it, because it just the world it sets itself in, you already know it's going to be fantastical.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me, is that was part of my problem with it, is that, there all these coincidences pile up and pile up and pile up and pile up, and it almost makes his journey as fantastical as the things he comes up with in his mind. But to me,
that was the point, I think.
No, for me, it's like if you're going to have a guy who dreams about, these outlandish, scenarios and fantasies in his mind, the real life stuff should be more real life.
More grounded.
More grounded. Yeah, I felt like things just really worked out for him just a little too well. Like, we're not going to spoil why this happens, but his cell phone. This guy goes into the Himalayas. He's in Afghanistan, and his cell phone is working just fine. Perfectly. And it's like an old flip phone. It's not even like a newfangled phone. It's an old flip phone.
It's true. That's fair.
And it's just it just really took me out of the movie. And I thought that maybe the calls that he was getting, I thought that, well, maybe this is part of the fantasy. No, it turns out it's not.
And you know, that it's funny because I think I told you this going into it. I thought that the movie was going to be more like that, where you weren't going to be able to necessarily distinguish what was fantasy and what was real.
Yeah, like Inception.
Like I thought that's maybe where the movie was going to go. No, that's not where it is. They definitely, with a couple exceptions maybe, that they do clear up eventually. There are definitely hard distinctions on what daydreaming and what's real.
Definitely.
But it still worked for me overall.
Yeah. I mean,
I think overall we're not extremely far off on our views of the movie. Right. It's kind of just two different sides of the coin.
Yeah,
neither one of us would call this a great movie.
No,
by any means. But I fall more on the side of it just hit me a little more personally.
Yeah.
Whereas for you, it just fell flat.
Yeah, it fell flat for me. It left me, like I said, it left me cold. Another thing, I shouldn't say the other thing because there's several things, but another thing that bothered me about this, and it was nagging me through the whole movie, is that Life magazine already doesn't exist anymore. And Life magazine was closed down in 2000.
Yeah.
And this movie definitely takes place in the present day.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like that like the whole time I'm like, didn't Life magazine fold already?
Yeah, this is probably a concept that started.
Yeah. Well, they should have changed it because I looked up on Wikipedia. I'm like 2000. I was like 2000. Yeah. I'm like that was
That's true.
13 years ago.
I mean, they were obviously using Life magazine. For the gimmick of the title,
right? And the motto and all that. Yeah, totally.
For sure. It could have been any magazine.
Right.
But even so, the magazine industry, it should have been set. There was no need to set it in 2013. You could have easily just called it 2000.
Yeah, they could.
It would have been no difference. There's nothing that would have changed the movie. Those kind of things didn't grab me as much. And they normally do. I don't know why. I just felt a little more attached to this movie.
Yeah, you just got swept up in it.
Yeah. But like you were saying earlier, though, starting to the characters, though, they were most of the actors here. Most of them did a good job here.
Yeah, they did a good job with what they were given. Catherine Hahn, folks will remember her from Step Brothers and from Anchorman. She plays Mitty's annoying sister.
Yeah,
and,
very bit part.
Yeah, very bit part. But she was similar to the character I didn't like. That she was a little too over the top.
She was over the top for kind of Arrested Development. 20-something-year-old.
But she took it just like a little bit too far. Shirley MacLaine plays his mother. She was fine.
She was great.
Patton Oswalt makes an appearance in it. He's funny.
He's great. He always shines on screen for me because he's never going to be a star. I mean, he's a comedian. He's a stand-up.
Right.
But when you put him in these little bit parts,
he's hilarious.
He really is great. Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me of. I just flashed on it just now. He was in Young Adult, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet.
Young Adult,
I want to see that.
He was actually the star of the fan.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
the name is.
It's not the Fan because that's the Robert De Niro movie.
But he's a Giants fan who ends up suing. It's kind of a dark comedy.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why I can't think of the name of it, but Superfan, I think it might be.
Yeah, that might be.
But anyway,
I gotta see that too.
And he's fine in those roles too. But he's not like the go-to lead actor that anyone's going to think of. So it's fun to see him in these roles where he gets to shine on screen a little bit.
Stiller, he was good. Generally, I don't have a big problem with Ben Stiller. I like him in some stuff, don't like him in others.
He's all right.
Like you said, Kristen Wiig did a good job. The problem I had with their whole thing is the romance was a little too easy for me. Like you said, when he daydreams, he literally like shuts off.
Yeah.
I would find that a little creepy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, oh, that's so endearing. I'd be like, dude, you need to be put in the hospital or something because you need to see a psychiatrist.
He definitely seemed like a character that and he was to everyone else. I mean, he was everyone else thought he was maybe not creepy, but off-putting.
The character that did not work for me at all was Adam Scott's character. He is completely over-the-top dickish. And actually, I was reading Collider's review, Matt Goldberg, on Collider wrote a review, and I wrote something similar in mine before I even read his review. I said he feels like a villain out of like an absurd Will Ferrell comedy, and then he hit it right in the head by saying he might as well just be Derek from Step Brothers, which is what he played in that movie.
Now, to be fair, I don't know if that was his choice or director's choice of where that character went, but it was the wrong direction.
And
he was the quintessential douchey boss.
Yeah.
Who just had douchey quips for everything and had his band of goons.
Yeah.
You know, that patted him on the back, and what they should have done is made him more darker and been just an asshole boss instead of a douchey boss.
Yeah.
And it would have worked a lot better.
It would have. It would have given more weight to it as well.
He didn't need to be the comedy relief in that movie. It just felt forced. It felt contrived.
Yeah. His beard was distractingly fake.
It was. But to be fair, that was definitely... It should have looked realer for sure. But they were making a point with those distinctions of it. That was for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, again, the part he played the douchey guy great.
Oh, no, yeah, totally.
But it wasn't the right part, and I'm not blaming that on Scott necessarily.
No, he's great. I mean, he's really...
But really good. I agree with you 100%. That was, if you have to pick one character in that movie that didn't work, it was for sure Scott's character.
Yeah, he just really...
He really, when you saw him on screen and that beard, it kind of took you out of things. Like,
it did.
It
did, yeah.
The beard is really off-putting. I can't...
Yeah.
If, folks, when you see it, you're going to think it's one of those beards that the ear clips.
Oh, yeah.
You just put on like a fake beard.
Like a fake Lincoln beard.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Like that.
I mean, it's like, really? Like, wow.
With a real goatee.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the other thing, too, is like, you know... The central reason, I know that the movie ultimately is quote unquote about him finding himself, but he doesn't know that. To me, it was clear that they were going to come in and just clean house anyway, and his reasoning for going on his journey, it just never really grabbed me. Like, it wasn't like if he found this picture, he was going to save the whole magazine or something like that. The stakes weren't high enough, I felt, for this trip.
But see, I think, and this is me reading into things.
Right.
But see, I think he didn't know maybe flat out what he was doing with that. Right. But it was... He did know, but he did, you know, when it's unspoken, you know you've got to do something, but don't know why. And to be fair, they do address it where he says, you know, I've been doing this for 17 years. 16 years, and I've never lost a photo yet. So for him, it's part of an integrity thing. But I agree with you, but I think he knew he needed this journey.
Yeah.
And he had people prodding him along the way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure. But
fake phantom people and real people.
so you know, Doug didn't enjoy this one all that much. What would you say, rental for you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'd say you know, there are definite, if you don't go to the movies often, there are certainly better ones out there to see right now. About time. And, you know, there are other ones coming up that are probably...
Yeah, because, again, this is coming out at Christmas.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff coming out at Christmas.
Out of the Furnace.
Well, yeah, that comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
December 6th.
Yeah.
And then you've got American Hustle.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Comes out on Christmas. The Mandela movie comes out.
This is not necessarily going to be at the top of the list, but if you're a moviegoer... that sees movies often, I would say I enjoyed this enough to go see.
Yeah, I mean, and
I get it. I get every one of your arguments. It just, for me, at a personal level, I felt a little more in tune with the movie.
And I didn't completely hate it. There was the cinematography's great.
Right, it was a beautiful movie. Yeah,
there's a lot of Stiller does a lot of great little things with the camera angles to, you know, make it visually interesting, and the art design is really cool on it too.
And the what do we want to call them, the daydreaming fantasy scenes, they're pretty neat. Especially a couple of them are pretty cool. So
so it's not as good as it could have been. That's how I kind of define it.
So now you have the skinny on the not so secret life of Walter Mitty.
Yes, and well in advance, a month in advance, more than a month in advance. So. There you go.
Thank you, Hodgepodge Podcast.
You're welcome. Tell your friends.
Let's shift gears a little bit.
Yeah, let's shift gears.
Let's talk about Almost Human that premiered this week.
Yes, this past Sunday, Almost Human premiered. It is the new sci-fi drama,
adventure buddy drama there
from Fox that will probably get canceled before it's time,
yeah.
or fans will latch onto it and it'll stay on,
or
a couple
it'll
seasons
get
too
canceled
long,
and then maybe come back on a Friday.
Yeah, right. Because this is Fox, but it's created by what's his name, J.H. Wyman of Fringe fame, and of course J.J. Abrams is on board as an executive producer. His Bad Robot,
right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, and the story is basically follows a cop, John Kennicks, played by Carl Urban of Judge Dredd fame and Star Trek, the new Star Trek.
Yep.
And he
damn it, Jim! I'm a doctor, not a cop.
Well, he is now.
No,
and he, on a mission, on a bust or something like that, he gets his leg blown off.
And sorry, Doug, just a little preemptive strike here. This is set way in the future. This is like 2048, 2045, something like that.
Not terribly far in the future.
Not terribly far, but a good
35 years.
Yeah. So and lots of things have changed, such as androids all over the place. Cops are androids.
Yeah, there's androids, and basically the way they describe it is there was this huge technology boom, and that led to a lot of crime.
Right, that's how they describe it. The cops couldn't keep up with the 400% crime rate increase because of all these unknown weapons and stuff that are out there.
Right.
So they team up and or they create these androids to join up with the humans.
Yeah, and basically, each human has to be partnered with an android. And our main character, like I said, is John Kennicks, whose leg gets blown off on an earlier mission. He's in a coma for 17 months, wakes up, he's got a synthetic leg, and then they partner him with an android when he goes back on the job, which he gets out of. He
has a lot of animosity towards androids because of this event. Because the androids, they
were very
logical, everything logically, and they don't see the human side of things, right? So they're like, in this event, where he was trying to save his partner at the time,
right?
And the android basically says, "I can't stay here because there's a higher probability I can save people, if I go over there." So because of this, he resents androids in general.
Right.
But
he hates his leg.
I hate my leg because it's an android.
Because it's a robot. We'll say he loses his android partner.
Number one.
His original partner that got killed was human. He was human. In the past, he was human. He loses his android partner in a very humorous scene, and then they don't have any of these newfangled logical droids, so they give him an older model that was decommissioned, and the older model is the DRN model.
Right, it's kind of a hybrid.
Right.
So it was programmed to think with emotion like a human and fear and have pain, and they discontinued its use.
Right.
Because
they were going crazy.
Which
and we'll preface by saying there's a lot of, if you like sci-fi fantasy stuff, you're going to see a lot of similar stuff in this. I mean, essentially, that's similar to Blade Runner with the replicants.
For sure. Absolutely.
Because Roy Batty and all those guys.
For sure.
But
there's nothing really new here.
There really isn't, but it's the combination of things that makes it cool. But the new android, his name is Dorian. He's played by Michael Ealy.
Awesome.
And he's great. And he, so now it becomes a buddy cop thing in the future. It's got a little bit of everything in it. And generally, when that stuff like that happens, like when we saw Oblivion earlier this year, they did the same thing where they pulled bits and pieces from other movies and kind of glued them together. For something like this, though, where it's not plot points and it's more just the concept, it works. Whereas Oblivion did not work for me. It works here. There's a little bit of Blade Runner in it. There's a little bit of Demolition Man in it.
Oh yeah.
RoboCop in there.
That's obviously the easy one to draw.
Yeah, Total Recall, all that stuff.
Yeah, any any sci-fi movie like that you
right.
can think of. You'll
from the
find
80s.
Elements of it here, and it's done in a fun way.
Yeah. So you got Carl Urban, Michael Ealy, Lily Taylor's in it. She's the captain, the police captain. The beautiful Minka Kelly is in it. Woo! And she, ever since Friday Night Lights, I guess, she hasn't been able to keep a television show on, so I'm hoping she's not poisoned, because I do like the show, and I like seeing her. But, they're obviously setting it up for some kind of romance between her and Kennex. Yeah. That's obvious, but who cares? So, but overall, I mean, there's only been 2 episodes so far.
Yeah, so it's it's kind of a 2-part pilot where
right. The stories weren't connected, but it was a two-night event.
So
basically.
they did one Sunday night, the other one came on Monday night.
Yeah, and overall, I liked it.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty adequate. That's not a good way to describe it, because whenever you say adequate, you don't mean
it's adequate. Medium talent.
So while I do mean that, I don't mean to dissuade anyone from watching it.
Yeah,
it does look like it's going somewhere, and it's a
show. We talk about, we have talked about on the show Person of Interest, how much I like Person of Interest, and that's like an edgier show, an edgier procedural type show. But I would say Person of Interest, and you mentioned it also when we were talking about it, that it's very dark. It's very, at times it can be pitch black. This one, you'd think so. It's quirkier.
It's not going that way. Yeah.
It's not going that way. There is a definite sense of humor in there. The interaction between Ely and Urban are great.
They look like they're going to play off each other well.
Yeah, and so it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. The first episode dealt with Urban Kennex returning to the force, and then setting up the whole premise. Basically, it was a cool story.
Yeah, as far as character development pilots go, it was fast paced enough to get you ramped up into the show pretty quickly.
Right. And then the second one was about the obligatory sex bots. And
Fembots.
Yeah, they were using there were some men in there too.
That's true.
They were using they were kidnapping people and using their DNA to give, or they're harvesting their skin.
They're harvesting their skin to place live human skin over an android body to create a higher quality android for sex.
Right,
works for me, folks.
So it was a cool plot, and it's good. I mean, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, 2 episodes in, it's hard to give a full on review of anything right now. But I mean, it's there's nothing great about it. There's nothing new about it. It's definitely old hat sci-fi stuff, but it works, and it's funny and sort of. I mean, parts of it are gritty. If you're into that piece of it. So I think it's got a little bit of everything.
Kennex
for anyone, as long as you like sci-fi, you're gonna like this.
Kennex has definitely got problems.
Oh So they set that up. He's like the cop that no one wants to be around anymore. Basically,
I'd also say he's a little bit like Tom Cruise's character from Minority Report. I can't remember the character's name to save my life. But he's got a little bit of his stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, he's the obligatory guy in Cops who's failed the psychological exam. Yeah. Now, he was the top cop.
Yeah.
But after this one incident and coming out of a coma, now he's failed the psychological exams, and he's just kind of a loose cannon, if you will. I mean,
you're a loose cannon.
Yeah. So really, the only thing missing is the captain that yells. Instead, it says
Lily Taylor,
Lily Taylor,
who's a little more cerebral. Yeah. But you need the guy from Last Action Hero. God damn it! Mackenzie Crook is also in it. He is like the Q type guy. He designs androids, stuff like that. You'll remember him. He was in the British Office.
Yep.
He was Gareth. That's his name.
Yeah, Dwight's.
Yeah, Dwight's counterpart in the British Office. He was also in Pirates movies and stuff like that. I liked his first scene, especially because they played Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode.
Oh, right, with the butterfly, right.
right. Yeah. So I was like, hey, Depeche Mode's actually more popular in 2048.
He's not in it much.
No,
he's a funny little comic relief every now and again.
But I mean, like I said, two episodes in, so we can't really delve into it too much. But it's...
Of course I should have known you loved it. as soon as I heard Depeche Mode, she was like, well, Doug automatically loves this show.
That's like I said. Apparently in 2048 they'll be more popular than they are now.
Oh, right, because they're not popular at all.
They could be bigger. So I definitely recommend it if you like sci-fi and stuff like that. It's a good show to watch. Honestly, the first 2 episodes in, I've liked it better than I liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's true.
You know, and I guess that's kind of a little bit unfair because it is a different kind of show.
Yeah.
But they're both sci-fi fantasy shows. Yeah. There's gonna be comparisons.
I connected with this one more.
Me too.
I care about the characters already.
Right.
And that's the thing, right? With Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I still don't give a fuck what's going on with any of these people.
There's only one thing I know about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I want Skye to die. Yeah. That's all I know. Yeah. So,
but I already feel for these characters here, even the damn android. You know?
Yeah. Oh, he's great. He's a great. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the last episode, that was sad. You know?
Yeah, very poignant. But so we both recommend Almost Human.
Yeah, you can catch it on Fox. It's on Monday nights at 8 p.m. And if you want to catch up, I'm sure the first 2 episodes are on Hulu by now.
I haven't checked, but I'm no doubt that they'll put.
So you can definitely check those out for the next week or a few. They 5 episodes. So for the next month or so, you can probably catch the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, but it's worth checking out.
Yeah. So we also wanted to talk a little bit about The Walking Dead. And last episode, we had our friend Matt King was here to talk about Marvel movies and Thor and stuff like that. And
you mean that piece of shit Thor, Matt King?
So
he's not here to defend himself.
He's not right now. But we did record. A bit to talk about The Walking Dead. There have been a couple episodes since we recorded, but it's all going to be relevant. Sit back and welcome back, Matt King, as we talk about The Walking Dead. And we're back here with our buddy Matt King, who was on episode 10 of the Hodgepodge Podcast. Welcome back, Matt.
Hello.
And we brought Matt in this time to discuss more comic book stuff, but it's more about a comic book TV show that's kind of big these days on AMC.
Yes, it is.
And we are talking about, of course,
The Walking Dead.
Thank
you, Bears.
I didn't know that was coming. I would have joined in. I don't know the words to that song.
Oh, Maddie. You mind if I call you Maddie?
I do, actually.
The words to that song are just... Yeah. So The Walking Dead, for the 5 people out there who have never seen it, is about zombies. And it's about these survivors during an apocalypse where the dead are rising and walking around. It's based on a comic book by Robert.
You're really selling this concept, by the way.
I know I am. It's my synopsis. That's why the synopsis for my novel is not getting any traction.
It's about this guy that walks around.
It's a dude. These 2 dudes. Yeah.
Dudes talk
meet
for a
other
while.
Dudes.
Yeah.
They meet some chicks.
Give me the story. I have to have it.
It's based on a comic book by Robert Kirkman.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this for Image, right? Image Comics, I think. Yeah.
Who's also produces a show.
Yeah, he's also an executive
and writer.
He writes for the show. Yeah,
and he's involved with the show. That's basically it. I mean, Walking Dead's out there; it's a phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, it's become a cultural, just a big pop culture thing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they already got a spin-off series that's going to be created from it.
Yeah.
Heck, I lived it. If you listened to one of our previous podcasts, I lived The Walking Dead.
If you listen to our podcast where we discussed our trip to Universal, Dirty A did indeed live The Walking Dead. I was busy on the Transformers ride, living Transformers.
Right. You lucky bastard.
I'm telling you, the ride is better than any of the movies. It's the best Transformers movie I ever saw.
Yeah, sorry, Trey.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry, Trey.
Yeah, sorry, Trey. But anyway, Walking Dead. Back to Walking Dead. The big debate amongst people who are fans of The Walking Dead, as is usually the case when something's adapted, is the comic book better?
TV.
Book versus the TV.
Unfortunately, I can give no credence to the book because,
you don't read.
Yeah.
So, which has now become a running story arc.
Yes.
I think we're going to have one episode where we actually force you to read a book.
Alan talks books.
You haven't done a book episode yet, right?
Huh?
You haven't done a book episode yet, have you?
No, we haven't.
So, yeah. I think that needs to happen.
It will eventually.
I don't know what we can get.
Charlotte's Web, Stuart Little.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll have to. Yeah, maybe I have to. We'll do one when I self-publish my novels. So that's
okay.
Yeah,
this is great.
I vow now I will read those books.
Thank you. And we'll do one for yours as well.
I appreciate it.
I vow now I won't read those books.
But
I'll give you the illustrated version.
Great pop-up. Make it a pop-up.
Yeah.
Make it a pop-up, guys.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead focuses on the main character is Rick, played by Andrew Lincoln, who is a British guy playing a Southern guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former sheriff, and the first episode and the comic book starts off, he was wounded in the line of duty,
right.
And he's in a coma, and when he wakes up, basically this apocalypse has happened. The dead are walking around.
Right. It's kind of in line with, what's that zombie movie?
28 Days
28 Days Later.
Yeah.
It's kind of like 28 Days Later was a Choose Your Own Adventure. And this show was page 4 instead of page 2. You know,
oh, nice.
After he walked out of the room. You know,
I like it. Yeah.
Because it is the exact same premise.
Scenario,
It is.
Yeah.
Guy gets sick in a hospital in a coma, wakes up, and everybody's dead. And the dead are walking the earth.
Yeah.
So.
Not zombies, though.
Yeah. No,
zombies.
Yeah.
Whoa,
geeks. They're walkers. They're whatever.
Yeah, Dirty A's big problem with the show is that he doesn't understand why, if these people are existing in our world, why they just don't call them all
why
zombies.
would they not be called zombies? Every faction that they meet, the main group calls them walkers, but every people they run into calls them something different.
Governor called them biters.
Geeks, but never zombies.
I wonder if Roger Corman like trademarked that or something like that. Maybe they owe him money or something like that. Or
I don't know.
Really,
I'm sorry. George Romero.
Sorry,
I wonder if he like coined it, or something.
It's common though amongst zombie movies that they don't refer to them as zombies. I mean, there's
well, right, but they don't. That's typically when they don't refer to them at all.
Yeah,
they just But this one they refer to them all the time, and it's like, well, of course. You're going to use the word zombie. That's what people know. But anyway, it's a small problem that in my head is just balloons and balloons with everything.
That is the least of their problems, I think.
Well, hey.
Well, not that they have problems.
Here's where we descend.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you read the comics.
I did. Well, up to a point, yeah. I am. If you're thinking about the hardback trades, I've read 7.
Okay.
6 or 7.
Out of how do you know how many?
I don't even know. I think the 8th one might be coming out soon.
Okay, so this is an ongoing thing.
Yes.
The comics are still going.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an ongoing series, and Kirkman still does it. So yeah, I'm pretty far into the story. I'm way past where they are on TV. Pretty good grasp on the story as a whole.
And I've read the majority of the first paperback compendium, which is like the big phone book size one.
Yeah.
And that basically ends with the governor,
right.
and what the resolution of the governor thing. I haven't quite finished it yet because I keep finding better stuff to read. Zombie burn, zombie jam. So
Walker jam.
Walker jam.
Right.
Sorry,
Walker Thank you, Matt. Let's stay in character.
So let's talk about the differences, I guess, between the books and the show.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I think I like the show more, only because the books, things happen a little too quickly for me in the books with no real explanation. Shane, who was a big part of the show, he went crazy in like issue 3 and then was gone.
Yeah.
The governor is crazy from the start. He's just fuck nuts crazy in the beginning. In the show, it's a real. They kind of show the evolution. He's a bad guy.
It's not that he's not crazy. It's just that we don't see it.
Right? Yeah. He's a bad guy, but there's a real slow burn before he becomes crazy.
Yeah.
And I like that. Now, that being said, season 2 was much, much, much too slow. Where they spent that whole season.
We have to talk about season 2 like this and drag it out for It's
the only God forgives.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, it was the 45, of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so you prefer the story as portrayed on the TV show versus what you read in the comics.
Right, because for me, the other thing about the comics too is that I don't really like Kirkman as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
He, his characters tend to.
Well, he writes the show,
which is interesting because that's what he does.
Yeah. He's not. Well, he's not the only writer on the show.
No,
but I find that his characters in the comic book, they speak like novelists think. And what I mean by that is that when the characters are talking and there's a problem, they basically list every possible solution, extrapolation from the problem that they come up with. And that's, as a writer, and you know this, because that's the way you think. Well, what, are people going to question this from this angle, this angle? But he has his characters say that stuff. And you're just like, nobody talks like that. Heavy
in the exposition.
Right, yeah. And it's not even exposition so much. It's more just like, we could do that. But if we do that, then this might happen. But then this could happen too. And then that might happen. That's supposed to be in your thought, in your head,
How do I say that because of the unfreezing process?
I have no inner monologue. Exactly. So that's my biggest complaint with the comic book is that, and I think for both of them, actually, for the show and the book, is that I think the premise is great. It's the execution that's lacking. Because the show is definitely not perfect. I mean, there's definitely issues on that show. I mean, I'm getting to the point where it's, last episode we talked about S.H.I.E.L.D. and how we don't really care about the characters. I'm getting to that point kind of with Walking Dead. I just really don't care what happens to these people. It's like, I'm looking forward to a spinoff, and I hope it's all brand new people that I actually maybe care about. Because it's like, I mean, we were discussing before we started recording this, there's only really one character they can't kill off, and that's Daryl. And it's not because he's so integral to the plot, it's because he's the most popular character. If they kill him off, people stop watching it. Yeah, people stop watching it. It's like killing Wolverine.
I actually do care about the characters now. I felt like when this I'm big into horror and zombies and stuff. So when the show first started to be talked about being developed, I was pretty excited, and I honestly didn't expect it to last this long. I thought it'd be real niche and like probably a season or two, and then it would be done, and it wasn't going to work in a TV format. And the season 1, like we talked about, definitely made the correlations to 28 Days Later. But I thought it worked. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Season 2, I said, here we go. This is where it starts going downhill, and it's done. But then they picked it back up, I thought, and they revived it, and I'm really enjoying this season. The plot line of this season, I'm really enjoying this fresh struggles, I guess. The struggles among the characters internally as well as externally. So I do care about the characters. I see the point, but I feel a little differently because I'm actually a little more into it than I guess you are. Engaged. Yeah. I see your wheels turning, Matt. I know you want to. I know you have something to say here.
Yeah, and it's mostly just that Doug is wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, this has been episode 11. Thanks for stopping by, Matt.
I can't argue with that.
Am I ever coming back to this show?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. Okay, so like you, I've read a bunch of The Walking Dead, and I feel the opposite. I feel like the book told the story much better than what the TV show has done so far. And if I were you, it would be really easy to accuse me of just being like a Walking Dead like comic book fanboy, and then I'm so enraged that it's not exactly like the books,
Right.
But it's not that. I don't care if they change things or they add new characters. Like Daryl, I think is a fantastic addition.
Oh, right. So he's not.
No, he wasn't originally.
He is now, but he wasn't originally.
Okay.
He's like Coulson in the Marvel movies. Right. He became in the movies, and now they've inserted him.
He became popular, and so now they've integrated him into the story. I haven't gotten that far yet, but I know that he's now in it.
And Harley Quinn is another good example of that. She was popular on the Batman cartoon, and then they put her in the comic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with change as long as it's change for the better. Now, you mentioned Shane as being one instance where you felt like the book shortchanged Shane, and that his role worked out better on the TV show. I think it's different for you because you watched the show first and then you read the books. I read the books first and then watched the show. So I didn't have an attachment to Shane at all.
Right.
And for me, it worked perfectly fine in the first few issues that Shane died because I think it serves a purpose. And that purpose is what they actually missed on the show.
Okay, yeah, and you're right. And they didn't build him up. Like, you didn't get attached to him, I guess, like you would in the show.
In the books,
couple seasons.
I guess for spoiling stuff for the books, it's been out forever. So in the books, Carl shoots Shane.
Okay.
In issue 2 or 3, And the reason I think that is a better handling of it.
Shoot Shane as Shane, like he's not a walker. He's just
he was getting ready to kill.
Why don't you just call him Zombie?
Yeah, he was getting ready to kill Rick because he was in love. He was in love with Lori.
Right.
And so now Rick shows up.
So that part of the plot line still kind of was there.
And so you thought Shane went nuts too early in the book. When I read it, I didn't know anything about Shane. So for him to be this sort of like uber jealous, I'm gonna kill Rick to get Lori back in my life kind of deal. Because she booted him out as soon as Rick shows up in the books too. It's like, oh my God, my husband's here. Go away. I don't care about you anymore.
Right.
And that you could see right away, like this guy is kind of psycho. He's
jealous.
He's not going to stand for that. And so Carl, they go hunting in the woods, I want to say, and Carl sees Shane lining up Rick, and then Carl shoots him. And
so it's almost like it's a defensive thing.
Yeah. But in the books, Carl is like what, 5 or 6 or something ungodly. He's
a lot younger,
really tiny, and maybe he's a little bit older now.
Yeah, I don't know. But really didn't
either way,
he's 5 or 6.
As drawn on the page, he's a pretty little kid.
Okay.
And I think that sets the table for what that series is really about, which is the zombies are not the
main focus
they're not the horror in
The
Walking Dead.
Humans,
it's the humans.
Yeah.
Right.
And that right there sets the stage for what is getting ready to come. You've got a 9-year-old or 10-year-old shooting an adult with a gun and killing him. And this is what this world is going to be from now on.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I mean,
I think for me, the show has done that. Maybe not as blatant.
It took 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's true. It's a slow burn to it. But yeah, like the whole last season, obviously, that was the idea as well, right? That the enemy is not the zombies. The enemy is the other people, this other faction of group, and they're kind of doing it this season, but almost internally. And yes, it's because they're becoming zombies and walkers. But with the whole Carol thing, you are seeing these internal struggles and how the world and people are having to adapt and change because of this apocalypse. And you're right. It's a slower progression than obviously than it was in the in the comics.
I think the first season, and I do. I mean, when I say that the slow burn with Shane, I mean he did stick around too long on the show. I mean he should have been gone probably halfway through season 2. I would think. Yeah. But the first season, what I found that to be about is that they were trying to answer the question of why did this happen?
Why? Yeah.
And that became the driving question.
That was Darabont's change. He was like, well, we're filming in Atlanta. Why wouldn't they go to the CDC? So the CDC thing was not in the books.
Right.
And Darabont thought, well, this is what we're just going to add in. And once again, that was one of the weakest parts.
I was about to say, that actually did not work that well.
No, it didn't work well at all.
It didn't work. It was kind of unnecessary. Yeah.
And it led to the scene with Lori and Shane where it was like he nearly tried to rape her.
Yeah.
And then and then that just started this chain of events with the stupid love triangle, which I could not stand, between Lori, Shane, and Rick, where she inexplicably wanted Shane to stick around.
Right. Even after everything he did, she knew about. Yeah.
And she kept getting mad at Rick. What are you doing? Why are you acting like this towards Shane? I'm like,
are you serious?
I'm like, you should be the one doing this, not Rick.
So it's clear that Lori should have died earlier as well.
Well, I think that was every fan's dream. Because, that's another problem I have with this show is that they do a real disservice to female characters.
They do.
A lot of times.
They really do.
Yeah. That's not just this show, right?
No,
that's a problem
I think
in general.
It's one of the standout problems I have with The Walking Dead is that I don't care about any of the female characters on the show until Michonne comes in. And even Michonne, I mean, they've managed to do pretty well with Michonne, but...
You mean as far as who she was in the comics versus...
It's a pretty good translation. And even the changes they've done with her, I don't mind.
Because this season, she's like all happy-go-lucky all of a sudden.
She's a little happier.
A little bit.
And in the books, I think... I do like this a little bit better in the books, is that she is kind of crazy in the books. I mean, she comes in not a great place, and she does stuff impulsively, kind of a weird person.
Yeah.
But she's a badass, so,
that always sells,
It cancels out. Yeah.
It does. But Lori was
no
awful.
one's ever cared about Lori. She just... she had to
Andrea was another one.
Everyone was happy to see her
They make horrible decisions.
Yep.
they're painted as just being dumb.
Yeah, Andrew was stupid.
Very stupid. But here's the thing, and this is a problem I have with this show and a lot of shows with women roles. Just because you make a woman strong doesn't mean you're creating a great character for
No,
them.
not at
all. It's almost like they think, oh, well, if I create a strong woman character, that's okay because I'm going against a quote-unquote stereotype. No. So
it's not to be a good character.
So she's automatically a likable character and worth watching. That's not the case.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Michonne I don't have as much of a problem with on the show.
You better not. She'll kill you with her
She will, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sword is like made of adamantium or something like that.
Anything and everything.
Yeah.
She just like flicks her wrist like, it's like, hey Wolverine, how's it going?
Yeah.
I feel like the show is less about the horror of humanity in a lawless sort of society than it is about how can we feature a new zombie this week? Well, let's have a moldy one that looks like he's part of a tree, and let's have one that comes out of the bushes, and and there's like let's have one at the bottom of a well. It becomes more of a how can we outdo the zombie design?
It's more about the effects.
See, I don't watch the show that way. I get the plot out of the show, and I feel that the zombies are the supporting cast, and that I think it works.
So you think that the human element, the humans are the bad guys on the show? They're the horror.
Yes.
I'm seeing it more. I will say this: I'm seeing it more in season 4 than I have in any other season. Season 1 I thought was really good, minus the CDC and the
Season 1 was obviously that was going to be all about the zombies because you got to you suck the people in. That's what you're going to do.
I think it was done really well, and I was excited for it. And then season 2 happened.
Oh man,
and if you look at what happened in that time period in the book, it's like an issue almost. I mean,
it's like an issue or two.
They tried to expound upon something.
They took one issue and just said, let's have a season out of this one issue.
Is there a reason? Do you know?
I don't think they wanted to
money probably
wanted to drag it out, or
I think they were padding it. I think they were scared that once they got past the governor, they weren't going to have anything else.
So they were just trying to build upon something that wasn't.
They were just like milk it. Okay, let's hit the missing girl thing for a while. Let's do that. Let's do the love triangle thing. Let's see if we can keep Carl in the house. I mean, that was like that was
the big meme.
That was the basis of season 3. And then it got
true.
the last episode was really good, I thought. And I was like, okay, and then they had that pan up when you see the prison, and I'm like, all right, well that season sucked, but I'm going to give season 3 a chance.
Yeah,
and it had its moments. Clear was easily the standout episode of that season. That's the one where they went back. It was
when he
they went back and found Morgan. It was Michonne, Rick, Carl, and they went back to that abandoned city and found Morgan. The guy that they were trying to reach on the radio.
Yep. That was a great episode.
That was a fantastic episode. I mean, right from the direction of the episode, the way it was shot, the cinematography of it, the dialogue was perfect. Characterization was great. I mean, it was just a great episode.
And I appreciated how they ended that. Like I thought for sure they're going to pull the whole, we're going to turn this guy around and he's going to. I love.
See that was what's so good about it because it shows what would really happen to somebody in that situation. And he's lost. He's not coming back.
Yeah, he's done. And there's no bringing him back.
And I think bookending that episode with the hitchhiker was perfect. When they saw him on the way out,
and then they
saw him again on the way back, and they were like, they didn't stop.
Nope. They couldn't risk it. That was a really good episode.
He was dead, right? They found his back.
They found they showed the blood.
And then they grabbed it. They didn't.
They grabbed it back. As they were driving out. They like swoop.
That is a classic example of showing instead of telling.
Right.
And too many times on that show, they are telling instead of showing.
Yeah, like Doug mentioned that.
Yes, and you had that complaint about the book. I think they do it on the show too much, and I wanted to love season 3, and just didn't.
No.
Right. Season 4 has been disappointing up until I think the last couple episodes.
Right.
And I think they've really improved. The episode where Rick had to deal with Carol.
Mm-hmm.
And
that again. That shows you where the people are.
Right.
The prime.
That shows you the kind of decisions you have to make in that situation.
But I'll tell you,
it's really good.
I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. I'm somehow engrossed in the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think somehow a little more. But the final episode. No, I guess it wasn't the final episode. But when Lori gets when she dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't care about Lori.
No,
man, that episode, that last 2 minutes was amazingly powerful. When Rick comes back and he sees Carl.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
But you know what? So you didn't read the books, right? So that is true. I like what they did there, but again, that is not an improvement. I don't think on what they did in the books.
Oh, really?
Because she lasted much longer.
Oh, is that right?
And
she did in this show too.
It's part of what made the governor storyline really great. I think in the book is that Lori in the books ends up dying
by the hands of the governor?
During the attack from the governor.
Okay.
And she hasn't given birth yet. Wait, she did. She had given birth, but it was just
she did, yeah.
And she got shot through,
baby cradled in your arms, shot.
And Rick just sees her die right in front of him, and that leads to the decline of Rick's sanity.
Right. Okay. Does he get it back in the books like he does? Like now, it seems like he's on his way to wellness. I guess.
Yeah, he's been taking his meds on the show.
Yeah.
But in the books, he went down a hole for a while, and they hit on it a little bit in the TV series with.
The phone thing.
Yeah. They did that early, really early. In the books, it didn't happen until later.
Oh, so that actually is from the book, the phone thing.
Yeah, that was batshit. That was batshit crazy. I was like, I don't know how you're going to bring him back from that. I don't understand how he goes
very
from that.
Conveniently.
Yeah, I don't understand how he goes from that to just being okay right now.
Yeah. He slept it off.
Yeah.
So the fourth season now is they're dealing with this infection, this disease, virus, whatever you want to call it, that's in the prison. Was that in the book? Did they do a storyline of that in the book, or is this?
If it was, I don't remember it.
Because I remember after season 3, you and I talked, and you were like, "I have no idea where they're going to go now."
Yeah, because they basically they padded season 2 so badly,
right?
In effect, they've padded the governor's storyline because
that's what I heard a lot about last season.
Yeah. So when the governor attacked,
everyone was like, "What? This is not."
Yeah.
What
the governor attacked in season 3?
Yeah, like immediate,
and that's the end of that storyline in the books. And this, it was just like there's an attack. Nothing happens.
I think they were struggling for a villain that wasn't a zombie, and they knew that they could mold this guy into that.
Well, it's greed.
It's generic, I agree, but I think that's what happened there.
It's the reason, stretching all this stuff out. It's greedy. I mean, they know they have something good in the governor's, the actor that does the governor, David
Morrissey.
He's really good.
Yeah.
And really plays the governor well, I think. He's not as flat out crazy as he is in the comics, but I think it's a good thing. And they were like, we can't get rid of this guy. Let's add on to his story. It just didn't come off very well. I don't think it was done particularly well.
Well, that's the problem.
He may come back.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's the problem with TV shows in general. You could say the same thing about a show like Heroes.
That jumped the shark.
Oh, did that have a season 2?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
that season 1 was so phenomenal.
I was never a big fan of Heroes because, to me, I was watching. I'm like, wow, I read all this 10 years ago in X-Men. Thanks, I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that they sign these actors to contracts, and you can't tell Zachary Quinto, well, you go away for this season, and we'll bring you back in season 3. That's not how it works.
Well, unless you're The Wire.
Unless you're The Wire. Game of Thrones also gets away with it too. But they're also a lot shorter seasons as well. So it's, when they do these shows, I mean, Walking Dead should be able to get away with it more because it is on cable, but they still really do a network kind of thing with their planning there. Only Mad Men and I guess Breaking Bad really got the artistic credit, basically. They could get away with that stuff because they were like the Emmy winners and all that kind of stuff.
Right, they had the room to breathe on.
Because Walking Dead is more of a populist show, they're going to probably hedge closer to network stuff. It also reminds me of Lost a little bit. You know how it was not like you had to get to the end of season 3, I guess, before they finally said, okay, now we're going to end it. We're going to end it, we're at this point, and then we're going to, condense it, and make so now that there's like an end point, we can go from there. And Walking Dead is never going to do something like that because, as you said before, with the comic book, it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and it basically becomes just a soap opera where it just, it'll go on in perpetuity forever.
Yeah, there's only, I don't want to come off as having a lack of imagination here, but it's how many stories are you going to tell out of this? And I found kind of where I am in the comic series right now, I just feel like it's sort of coming around to the whole Woodbury thing again, and I'm losing some interest.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree. It's not a show. It's not a show that's going to have. Well, I mean, I say it's not a show that has longevity. But we're 4 seasons in, so I guess at this point you can say that. But yeah, it seems like it definitely has an expiration date.
Well, it should, but it doesn't.
But they won't, because they'll keep it going.
And this is my problem with a lot of American shows, and this is going to sound totally pretentious, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think the British do it right.
You pompous American ass.
Yeah. Fuck you, Yankee. It's just, they do shows that last a finite amount of time. It's 2 or 3 seasons and done.
It's not even that.
Kind of like Doctor Who.
They have a story to tell. Right. Well, but doesn't that end every single time? Like it's a brand new Doctor?
Not every season, but they have incarnations.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to go on forever.
Right.
But yeah, like Sherlock.
Well, that's not true. I guarantee you when they hit...
This is like the Doctor Who encyclopedia.
Yeah, I guarantee you when they hit that 13th Doctor, that they will figure out a way to create...
We forgot the lost 14th
Doctor. No, it's like thank you for smoking. Thank God we finally invented the... Whatchamacallit. There you go. Now we can smoke in space.
Smoke in space. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Technically, there is an end to that, but if something's going to make money, they'll probably... figure out a way to keep it going.
A lot of our TV series do that. They just go on and on and on.
But I agree with you 100%. British television is much better.
See, Lost suffered
than most of our stuff.
Until the end of season 3,
they
finally
said,
after midway in season 3, they finally met with the agency and said,
they said,
we have to end this show.
Well, ratings were starting to go a little bit, and people were getting mad at the show because it was not good. And so they're like, oh yeah, we're going to end it here. Because people were worried that they didn't have a definitive ending.
Yeah,
they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
And that strategy worked. Viewership picked back up. Once people saw there was an end in sight, they said, "Okay, we'll stay along for the ride."
Yeah, and they claimed to know, what they were going to do.
Right, they had the storyboard to the end at least. They say,
"Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
But no, you're right. American TV shows, they just go on too long.
And I think The Walking Dead needs to. This is what I want from them. I want them to say, "We know we're going to end after season 5, and we're going to end the story. It is going to have an ending." And not this open-ended,
true.
We could go on forever.
The other thing about British TV, though, is the shorter seasons as well, not just...
Right, I mean, a season could be like 6 episodes, could be 3. I mean, they do like mini-series.
They don't have this set thing, right?
Herschel Farm never would have had
Look at Sherlock.
Yeah.
Okay, Sherlock is like freaking... It was 4 episodes, but it's got a fan base like you wouldn't believe, and people are clamoring next year for the new season to come out.
Sherlock's a little bit different, though, because they do theirs. It's almost like a season is like 3 movies, because each episode is like an hour and a half.
20 minutes.
Yeah, so it's like...
they
do it
that's
just
a lot of
differently.
shows. That's not just Sherlock.
Oh, it is? Okay.
No, that's...
Because I know Torchwood just did...
they do that with a lot of shows. Not with, like, Who they don't, but what's another show that they started? Orphan Black.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So they do that with a lot of shows.
Okay.
That's kind of their thing. So, yes, you're right. There may be only 5 or 6 episodes, but they almost get an extra two episodes just out of length of each one.
The problem with Walking Dead is, though, I don't think they will ever stop because the comic book hasn't stopped. And as long as the comic book keeps going, they're going to say, well, we can keep on doing it. They don't have a Game of Thrones problem where they're like, oh, we might catch up to George R.R. Martin, or... I mean, George R.R. Martin has said the 7th book will be the last one.
They will keep going.
Yeah. They've already said that.
They've already said that. The
HBO
writers have already said we've already started.
If they catch up to it, But the thing is, when they catch up to him, but if
it's like the donuts are going to catch up with him.
Yeah. The pizza's going to catch up to him.
Yeah.
If he actually was able to finish the 7th book before they finished the show, they would just follow the books, and then that would be the end of Game of Thrones. The end. Thank you. Have a good one. Like, they're not going to continue the story after. It's not going to be after MASH, after Game of Thrones.
To be fair,
everyone will be dead.
If I'm a network exec and something's making money for me, I'm going to tell those writers to figure out a way to keep it going too. If something's making money,
but I mean that is short-sighted. I think. I mean it's easy to make that decision. Like, oh, this is making $1 bajillion a year. let's just keep doing this because it's going to work forever, right?
Oh, you have to keep developing new projects. That's what.
No
that are just like the one that's making money right now. That's what people want.
Yeah, without the story somehow changing, this thing can't go on forever. So I don't know.
Unless in a spinoff. Wait.
Oh. See, I'm almost more interested in that than I am.
Me too. Yeah. See, the thing that I hope they do with that spinoff, I hope they don't take like, well, now these characters are going to go over here.
Right.
There's no reason to do that.
No.
You can go anywhere else in the world.
You have a whole world of
to do
characters to choose from, literally.
You have anywhere else in the world to have a new bunch of characters get into the same exact problems that the characters that are in the normal show get into.
Nova Scotia Walking Dead.
Right. And it wouldn't surprise me, actually.
It's the mayor!
It wouldn't surprise me if they restarted it from the beginning again with a new bunch of characters. Yeah. They went back to the beginning of, with a new bunch of characters. But, I like the show quite a lot, as much as any... It's not my favorite show on TV. It's not... but it's way better than most stuff.
It's no person of interest.
It's no American Horror Story.
I like it better than Person of Interest.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, see, not me. I love Person of Interest. But
American Horror Story?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, me and you could talk about that for hours.
Yeah,
that's a great show.
That would have to be something else, another episode, but...
not really.
Different. No.
That'll be a module to the main episode.
So we could spin off and just do the indefinitely, about the American Horror Story.
American Walking Dead.
Yes.
American Walking Dead.
Nova Scotian Horror Story.
Nice. So that's Walking Dead, everybody. Yeah. And thanks to Matt again for coming and stopping by to talk about that.
Anytime.
Thanks, Matt. Episode 11 is in the books, folks. Thanks for joining.
Yep, and we'll see you next time. Our next episode will cover the new Hunger Games movie, Catching Fire.
One we've really been looking forward to.
Yeah, and another movie we've really been looking forward to, Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey. So join us next time.
Take care.